Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a closer look at the engineering evolution of an absolute icon, the Great Wall of China. Specifically, we're diving into the stone sentinel of the Ming Dynasty. We're going to break down exactly how this structure transformed, from its kind of basic, fundamental early stages, right into the breathtaking architectural marvel that still completely captivates us today. Let's get right into it.
So who really built the Great Wall of China that we picture today? When you close your eyes and imagine that magnificent, winding stone dragon, you'd probably assume it was built all at once, way back in ancient antiquity, right? Well, actually, scratch that. That specific, highly fortified structure we all know and love wasn't the work of those earliest emperors at all. It was actually built by one specific ruling family, literally hundreds of years later.
Okay, let's dive into this timeline. Right when the Ming Dynasty was officially established back in 1368, they were immediately hit with a massive problem: relentless, ongoing threats from the north. These Ming rulers, they weren't just building for prestige or to show off, they were building for their absolute survival. Realizing the older barriers just weren't going to cut it, in the years following 1368, they launched this unbelievable campaign to construct entirely new walls straight across some incredibly strategic mountain passes. And this staggering effort, it continued for centuries, right up until the end of the dynasty in 1644.
Now, what's really interesting about this comparison is the stark contrast in the materials they used. Before the Ming era, a lot of the wall sections were just simple barriers, basically earthworks that functioned more like basic territorial markers. But the Ming builders, they completely changed the game. They totally abandoned that packed earth and swapped it out for carefully cut stone and fired bricks. And listen, this wasn't just some aesthetic choice to make it look pretty. It was a hardcore defensive upgrade, specifically designed to withstand both violent enemy attacks and the freezing, absolutely relentless weather up in the mountains. The Ming Dynasty didn't just build a thicker wall. They turned a static barrier into an overwhelming military machine. We are definitely not just talking about a pile of stones anymore. They threw in all these incredible military additions. We're talking massive watchtowers so they could see for miles, full-scale military forts to actually house the troops, fortified gates to strictly control trade, and these highly specialized signal stations. The whole thing evolved into this massive interconnected network, stretching across literally some of the most difficult, unforgiving terrain on the entire planet. And this brilliantly illustrates how that military network actually functioned in real time. Because, a wall is really only as good as the soldiers defending it, and those soldiers absolutely needed rapid communication. So, step one. If an enemy was spotted during the day, the guards used precise smoke signals to instantly send warnings down the line. Then, step two, under the cover of darkness, they transitioned to lighting these really intense fires. What this meant was that an alarm could travel hundreds of miles in just a matter of hours. It was like a high-speed information highway built centuries before the telegraph even existed. Now, let's bring this into the present. If you've ever traveled to China or even just marveled at a stunning, high-definition photograph of the wall, it is almost guaranteed you are looking at places like Badaling or Mutenyu. And the reason these specific sections are so incredibly famous and photogenic today is precisely because they are preserved Ming-era construction. That's right, when you look at those pictures, you are looking at the exact heavy brickwork and imposing watchtowers engineered by the Ming Dynasty hundreds of years ago. So the crucial point is this: by the time the dynasty finally ended in 1644, their relentless building campaign had fundamentally altered the physical landscape. It literally became one of the most impressive defensive engineering projects in human history. The Ming builders basically took a simple concept, a wall, and elevated it into an unparalleled military masterpiece. Which really leaves us with a fascinating question. Will any of our modern defensive structures, the ones we build today with modern steel and concrete, actually stand the test of time like the stone sentinels of the Ming Dynasty? Think about it, these carefully cut stones have withstood brutal wars, extreme weather, and the sheer weight of centuries. It really makes you think about durability, doesn't it? And ultimately, what we as a civilization choose to leave behind. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you next time.